Benjamin Impossible. Chapter 27. Arts and Spacecrafts. 3 hours later, an alarm chimed in Benjamin's helmet and he woke up Captain Lemon-Time. "Rise and shine, Captain. We have work to do." The captain rolled off his chair and almost slid off the surface of the ship. "Where are we?" he asked groggily, stretching his arms and looking around. Earth could still be seen, but it looked much smaller in the distance. "We are approximately 25,000 miles from Earth. We are about to enter our final orbital approach and will be at Glockenspiel's submarine in 75 minutes. "Oh," Lemon-Time said. "Why did you wake me up so early?" "Noah is about to stop his rockets and I need you to help me with last-minute preparations." Benjamin checked the timer in his helmet and counted down aloud. "Brace yourself, Captain. Noah's acceleration will stop in 3, 2, 1, off." At these words, the jets built into Noah's legs stopped and the robot barked happily. The ship didn't change noticeably, but Lemon-Time suddenly found himself hovering over the surface of the Millennium Marshmallow and floating off into space. "Hey!" he yelled as he moved his legs. "I've fallen off! Help!" "Relax, dude. I've attached a safety line to your spacesuit to keep you from drifting away. Just pull on the strap until you come back." The boy smiled. "I've also turned off the hyperhelium packs in your suit. Captain, you are now weightless, just like you wanted." "You're right," the older man said with a laugh. He spun around in his suit, tethered to the rope that kept him anchored to the ship's fabric hull. "I weigh nothing now. This is the best diet plan I've ever been on." Yes. Very funny, Captain. We've got some things to take care of here, so let's get serious." "Fine. What's the plan?" Benjamin brought over 2 buckets and handed one to the captain. "You are in charge of this bucket." Ripping off the container's lid, Lemon-Time found the entire bucket was full of socks. They were all knotted and covered with white dust. It looked like someone had dumped a bag of flour in the bucket before sealing the lid. "What is this mess?" Lemon-Time asked. "Did you bring your space laundry? Going to attack the evil doctor with your stinky socks?" "That, Captain, is a bucket filled with 100 pounds of cornstarch and talcum powder." Lemon-Time looked up at the boy. "Do those ingredients mix together to form a super weapon?" "Don't be silly. It's just a bucket of socks filled with baby powder." "Ah, I was afraid of that. Why exactly did we bring 100 pounds worth of socks and baby powder into space?" Benjamin reached over and grabbed one of the socks. It was stuffed full of powder and knotted on one end so the flakes wouldn't leak out. "This is why we brought it," Benjamin said as he started slapping on the sock with his hand. With every strike, white powder leaked out of the sock to float suspended in space around them. "That looks fun, but what's the point? You are creating a mess and the white powder makes it hard to see anything." "Exactly, Captain. I want you to beat on these socks and slowly release this powder around the ship for the next hour. This will create a large cloud that will block Glockenspiel's view of our ship." Lemon-Time nodded. "I get it. We're making a smoke screen to hide the size of our force. This isn't a lot of powder, though. Maybe we should wait until we are closer so the smoke doesn't blow away." Benjamin shook his head. "The smoke screen will not blow away, Captain. That powder is composed of tiny particles that are only a few microns thick. Despite their small size, those particles still obey the laws of physics. The powder cloud will float around us in orbit and can't blow away. In fact," Benjamin continued, "I expect this dust cloud will be a mile in diameter by the time we reach the submarine." "That big? Do we want a big cloud?" "Yes. Glockenspiel's robots have optical sensors and may fire their lasers at us. Also, his submarine has automatic guns that will fire as well. I want this cloud to obscure our true position and make it harder to hit us." "Good thinking," Lemon-Time said as he punched a sock, releasing white powder that floated in every direction. Benjamin grabbed another bucket and sat down. "You keep releasing that cloud and I'll work on these balloons." The boy popped the lid off the bucket and pulled out an uninflated balloon. It was round and made of silver-colored mylar. On one side, the words "Happy Birthday" were stenciled. Lemon-Time, now covered with white dust, squinted at the balloon. "Okay, I'll bite. What's with the party balloons?" "These are decoys," Benjamin answered as he pulled out a small can of compressed air. The boy squirted a small blast of air into the balloon, and the silvery mylar popped open. He released the balloon and it hovered, slowly floating away from the ship. "These balloons are made of mylar and contain a thin layer of metal foil. That's what makes them reflective." When Glockenspiel's robots fail to see us inside our artificial cloud, they will switch to radar to track us. These foil balloons will show up brightly on their scans. I'm hoping that there will be so many decoy targets it overloads their radar system. The boy grinned. At the very least, the balloons will create a lot of harmless targets to shoot at and allow us to slip through unscathed. Lemon-Time nodded his approval. How many balloons do you have? About 500. Jethro, the janitor we saved at NASA, cleaned out several party supply stores with his raiding party. That is a lot of radar decoys, Lemon-Time said appreciatively. Do you have enough canned air to inflate them all? Oh, sure. I'm squirting the tiniest amount of gas into each balloon and they instantly blow up. We are in space and air wants to expand quickly in a vacuum. Benjamin inflated another balloon and it overinflated and popped. You see? The key is to use as little gas as possible to keep the balloons from exploding. For the next hour, they worked on their buckets and released an ever-growing cloud of white powder and silvery balloons into space around them. They found that they had to walk around the ship at times to disperse their debris equally in all directions. At last, their buckets were empty, and they threw the plastic pails into space to serve as additional decoys. In every direction they looked, they saw the foggy powder. The cloud was so dense that all the stars had been blotted out, and even Earth was difficult to see through the mist. Benjamin glanced at his chronometer. We've got 15 minutes until touchdown. Are you ready, Captain? Lemon-Time stood up and stretched his back. I suppose I'm as ready as I'll ever be. What's next? We are flying in an elliptical orbit that will slingshot us into Glockenspiel's submarine. Dad calculated this orbit to intercept the submarine as quickly as possible. In a few minutes, we'll be coming out of the shadow of the planet and Glockenspiel may notice us if he's looking this way. He may notice us? How can he miss us? We're a giant white cloud hurtling toward him. Size is relative, Captain. A mile-wide cloud seems big when you're standing inside of it, but when you're halfway around the world, it looks rather insignificant. To Glockenspiel's long-range sensors, we will look like another white star until we get right on top of him. Benjamin grabbed a duffel bag that was lashed to the ship and walked over to Noah. The dog was still attached to the Millennium Marshmallow via the steel pipe. Help me get this pipe unstuck. Together they slid the pipe out of the side of the ship, freeing the robotic dog to hover next to them. Aren't you going to disconnect the pipe from Noah's chest? Asked Lemon-Time. No, Noah is our ride out of here, and that pipe makes a good anchor to grab onto. We're abandoning the marshmallow? Of course. The Millennium Marshmallow is the biggest object in this kamikaze cloud. It has a large radar footprint and will be the first thing Glockenspiel shoots down. Lemon-Time looked at their balloon ship sadly. I'll kind of miss her. I've flown a lot of aircraft during my career, but this is my first spaceship. Feels like we are abandoning her. Benjamin snickered. It's just a balloon, Lemonhead. When we get back to Earth, I'll buy you another one. I'll also buy you an ice cream cone and a teddy bear. Will that make you feel better, you big diaper baby? Lemon-Time growled. Have I mentioned how annoying you are? I'm not annoying, Captain. I'm incorrigible. It's the same thing, kid. They both clipped their spacesuits to the metal pole, and Noah gently blasted away from the Millennium Marshmallow. They drifted away until the giant marshmallow balloon was lost to sight, swallowed up by the space cloud. Benjamin checked his timer. We will hit the landing zone in 10 minutes. Great, because I can't see anything. Lemon-Time looked around, wiping powder from the surface of his face shield. All he could see was white fog. Try cycling through your helmet's vision modes. Lemon-Time manipulated the joystick in his helmet, finally turning on his infrared camera. Everything around him looked ghostly white, but now he could see dark decoy balloons floating about them. Far ahead, he thought he could see the larger form of the Millennium Marshmallow, its oblong shape rotating sadly in the murk. Do you think he's seen us yet? Doubtful. We just came around the perimeter of the Earth and the sun is behind us. What if he does see us? Well, Benjamin replied, that wouldn't be good. On radar, we probably look like an asteroid or minefield. He might move the submarine out of the way and we'd miss entirely. Then we float in space forever and turn into meat popsicles? Benjamin nodded. I wouldn't worry, Captain. It takes a few minutes to get a ship that big to start moving. He'd have to be sitting at the helm, ready to move as soon as he detected us on radar. Benjamin looked at the captain floating next to him and grinned. I seriously doubt that Glockenstupid is watching his proximity monitors. He's eating dinner right now. What makes you think that? Benjamin checked the time. It is currently 6:45 Eastern Standard Time. Do you remember Glockenspiel's weird robot dinner at Fort Jefferson? He mentioned that he liked to have fancy meals because it helped him pass the time. Oh, that's right. That was days ago, however. Not enough time for his circadian rhythm to alter. I bet the evil doctor has been living in a submarine for a long time. Floating in space is probably similar to floating underwater, and I doubt his schedule has changed. He probably eats a fancy dinner every night at this time. Lemon-Time was impressed. Did your father account for that when he calculated our flight plan? Of course, my dad is a genius too. A few minutes later, Benjamin pointed ahead. I guess dinner is over. We've been spotted. Ahead, they could see beams of laser light shooting through the cloud, striking balloons around them. We've got 3 minutes until touchdown. I suggest we hug this pole and rotate to minimize our radar footprint. Noah rotated the steel pipe so that they were traveling perpendicular to their destination. Captain Lemon-Time found that he was the closest to the submarine. If a laser hit them, it would be his feet that took the brunt of the damage. Benjamin was above him in a safer position, much to the captain's annoyance. Lasers continued to flash around them. Many of the blasts struck the balloons, but this had little impact on the decoys. The powdery smoke seemed to dissipate most of the laser energy, and the shiny mylar coating reflected the rest of the laser light to bounce harmlessly in every direction. Some of the balloons popped from the excess laser heat, but given they were in space, the ragged mylar debris continued to float in formation and remained as functioning decoy targets. Benjamin pointed. Looks like the submarine's deck guns have engaged. Watch the Millennium Marshmallow. Lemon-Time watched in horror as the shadowy form of their spaceship was destroyed. The giant foam-filled balloon quivered as bullets hit it. Pieces of foam ripped off as bullets gutted the craft. The makeshift spacecraft began to drift to one side. I think Glockenspiel is concentrating his fire on the marshmallow, trying to divert its trajectory and keep that giant balloon from hitting his submarine. Benjamin smiled. He probably thinks we are trying to ram him and he's using his bullets to push the Millennium Marshmallow out of the way. Will that work? Lemon-Time asked. Oh, sure, Benjamin said matter-of-factly. The big foam balloon will fly past him without hitting. We, on the other hand, are right on target. We are landing in 40 seconds. Benjamin checked the safety straps connecting himself and the captain to the metal pole. Lemon-Time looked down between his feet, but couldn't see the submarine through the murk. I still don't see the submarine. How fast are we going right now? We are approaching the submarine at 1,000 miles per hour. What? We can't hit the submarine traveling 1,000 miles per hour. We'll splat like a bug when we hit. We're going to slow down first, dummy. Hit the rockets, Noah. The robotic dog barked and his rocket thrusters flared to life. Instantly, Lemon-Time felt a tremendous weight as the dog accelerated away from the submarine, slowing their descent. The captain grunted. He was instantly 3 times heavier, and he couldn't breathe or lift his arms because of the increased gravity. Lemon-Time's vision darkened, and he became lightheaded. The spacesuit, which had been monitoring his vital signs, compensated for the increased pressure by inflating bladders inside his suit that constricted around his stomach and legs. This automatic feature was designed to keep astronauts from fainting when G-forces tried to push blood from their brain toward their feet. Unfortunately, the inflatable bladders also pushed on Captain Lemon-Time's broken ankle, and he screamed as his foot flared with excruciating pain. Oh, hush, Benjamin radioed. It's only a few gravities of deceleration. Stop crying like a baby. It's my ankle. The inflatable G-lock function in this stupid spacesuit is squeezing my broken ankle. Oh, that's right. Sorry about that. It's better than passing out, though. The pain will ease up in just a second as Noah slows. There's the submarine. Lemon-Time looked down in time to see the submarine appear in the murk. The vessel was huge and gray, covered by a fine dust of baby powder that had slammed into its side from their dust cloud. Looks like some robots standing near the front, Benjamin pointed out critically. I'm aiming us near the back of the vessel, away from that big deck gun. Lemon-Time tried to confirm Benjamin's observations, but they were dropping so fast he could barely make out anything other than laser flashes shooting around him. I'm unclipping us from the dog in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. We're free. Benjamin unclipped both of the spacesuits from Noah's pole. The two spacesuited figures fell toward the submarine, and the robotic dog flew away to draw off laser fire. We're still falling, Lemon-Time yelled in panic. Yes, Benjamin agreed, but we're not accelerating as we fall. Your spacesuit can absorb the impact. Just land on your feet and keep your knees bent to absorb the shock. The submarine rushed up to them. Benjamin did a flip and hit the metal hull with his legs bent. Electromagnets in his boots stuck him to the surface of the ship with a reverberating clunk. The boy slung the duffel bag over his shoulder and looked around. Lemon-Time's landing wasn't as graceful. He hit the ship with only one boot, his other foot frozen at an awkward angle to protect his ankle. He landed on his bottom, then bounced off the ship, slowly floating back up into space. Spinning his body around wildly, Lemon-Time tried to get a boot to stick to the ship, but he slipped and began to drift out into space. I missed, he yelled. I missed the ship and my suit's thrusters aren't doing anything. Help! Hold your horses, Captain. I designed your jet thrusters for air flight, not space propulsion. They don't work in a vacuum. Get me back on the ship. I'm flying away. Benjamin walked over to him, careful to keep one magnetic boot planted at a time, and reached his hand out. Lemon-Time grasped wildly, but he was too far out to catch. Captain, I can't reach you, and Noah just flew off. Those robots at the front of the ship are going to be walking this way, and you'll be a sitting space duck if you just hover like that. I'm a goner, the captain wailed. No, Benjamin said. There's still a way to save you. You've got to unleash your secret weapon. You've reached the end of Chapter 27. Please consider liking this video or leave a comment. Then proceed to Chapter 28. Breaking and Entering.